Good morning and welcome to the first of the books I believe should be in SF Masterworks. The first book is going to be Vernor Vinge's True Names. I'm going to put a picture there because I do not have a physical copy of the book because it is in fact quite difficult to get hold of. I'll explain at the end how you can get a copy if you want to read it. And it's a novella published in 1981. Vernor Vinge's got I think he's got Fire Upon the Deep is already in the SF Masterworks collection. But this book, this novella, is incredibly important, especially in the development of cyberpunk. It's not really a cyberpunk book, but the story is incredibly important. The story, I said, it sounds quite basic and you'll think, huh? It follows a computer hacker called Mr. Slippery who used full immersion of virtual reality to innate hacking. And basically, the group of hackers, they see the government as the big adversary, and they obviously try to get into government computers and things like this. You have to remember, this is 1981. But basically, they hide themselves behind avatars, which you think 1981 avatars? Because they want to hide their true names. Because if somebody gets hold of their true names, they have leverage on you in the real world. And basically, the government find out his true name, and they use the information they have against him to blackmail him to track down another hacker called the Mailman. And that is basically the story, and the story just follows him tracking down the Mailman. It sounds quite sort of pedestrian story. It is in fact incredibly readable. Vernor Vinge, if you ever read anything, it's really quite enjoyable writer to read. It's all pulls you in. His prose is nice and straightforward. And if you don't know, Vernor Vinge was actually a computer scientist. I think he recently retired. He's in his late 80s. But this book was written and released a year before Burning Chrome, which is William Gibson's famous book. And William Gibson is obviously known as almost the father of cyberpunk. But before that, this book, it was the first representation of cyberspace. Within the book, the people... what am I trying to say? Yeah, within the book, people meet up in cyberspace. They have virtual rooms, they have a virtual castle, and they all pretend they're wizards and things like this. So it is the first full representation of cyberspace. I know that William Gibson is coined with developing the term cyberspace, when in fact it was developed by, I think, a Danish artist in the late 60s who used it for an installation they did. But William Gibson was the person who used it computer-wise. But I said, this book, True Names, it's taken me a while to actually read it. I can't believe it was, I'd heard of it before. It's taken me sort of 40 odd years to actually get around to reading it. Because you read it and you think, yes, that's an enjoyable story. And then you just listen to the context of it. You think, well, this was done in 1981. And there's very few other books around like it at the time. And the ideas in it, there are still ideas there that still haven't come to fruition. And you look at books like Ready Player One. Ready Player One's not very well written, but some of the ideas from Ready Player One have just been lifted almost from True Names. They may have not gone directly from there, but the ideas, you can see it directly in it. So this book is, its publishing history is a bit weird. It's been published as True Names and Other Tales. And it was also in two novellas, this and George R. Martin's Night Flyers, which was called Binary 5, I think. If I can find a cover, I'll put it there. And it got republished in 2006 with a bunch of essays about the importance of the story and the importance of computer things, called True Names and the Development of Cyberspace, which I will put a cover up there for you to show it. And that is still available for about, I think it costs about £12 or so on there, but it hasn't got the original pictures in there, because in the original story there's some really interesting little artworks. I will see if I can find a copy of some stuff and show you some more artworks up there. But for my mind, I would like to have the original one. I've only got a ebook copy of it, which is of the original text, which I've obtained, let me say, because I really want original copy of the book. But the True Names book is I said it's still published. It is available on Kindle, this new Penguin version. So if you want to do it, have a look there. It is, I said, it is, if you look at the sort of computers that were around in 1980, 81 when he wrote this, and then you read that book, you will be amazed. It's just, a lot of it is put in context. It may seem quite pedestrian compared to a lot of the computer books, a lot of the cyberpunk books, and a lot of the books about computers, but it was way ahead of anything that else was there. And I said, Burning Chrome came a year later, and then you had Neuromancer, or Burning Chrome came similar time, but they were both developing all these ideas in context. So that is my first choice of book, Vernor Vinge's True Names. And I think everybody ought to read it, and it definitely should be the SF Masterworks, because historically it is very important for the genre, and it's just a very, very good story. Okay, and I will be back tomorrow with my second one, and I will see you all then.